you shouldn't have all the answers when you go into a project. When you're doing research, like the idea is you're learning and you're discovering things as you go.
Working with our sort and sift approach, we provide a set of tools that you can use throughout the process. And, things like memo writing, diagramming, reading your files, working with quotations, monitoring topics, so all sorts of things. The tools really give you places to go, paths to follow when you might be stuck, lessen that anxiety that you may be feeling. Something that we take for granted is reading your data. I think oftentimes we just kind of jump in and just start working with these files. It's just so valuable to just start before you do anything else. Just take if you're working with an interview or some sort of report or field notes, anything like that, just read it from top to bottom first before you do anything else. Maybe you might highlight something that really stands out, but just try to just get into exactly what's in that data and just kind of put everything else aside. Don't worry about anything else. Just read and see exactly what's in that data that you're working with. We start with what we call an initial learning period. And what that is we take 3 to 5 documents from our project, assuming we're working with interview data or field notes or whatever the data may be. We take 3 to 5 data collection episodes. We work on those first as if that's a full project. And we kind of work through them, starting with reading, highlighting quotations, and moving into memoing, diagram, creating episode profiles. And that really gives you a really great picture of what's in your data. And then as you move through these learning periods, you kind of combine what you've seen, and you fill in blanks that you may have seen early on. You're able to find different threads that you might want to follow through the data.
I've been doing a lot of quotation inventory. Alison and I, co-facilitated an amazing conversation recently with 2 women who have been friends for 60 years. We're doing a project together, the ResearchTalk team, on lifelong friendship. I've just been playing with quotations only and no worry about outcome or where it goes or what topics. And it's just so interesting to see how fluid people's minds are, how intentional they are in communication, how the ways ideas tie together and flow. We're doing these dyadic interviews, and it's great with the quotations, kind of thinking about the ways these 2 individuals are talking with and for each other. And it's just beautiful. And in playing with the quotations, it segues so nice to what we talk about, that quotation inventory tool segues into this episode profiling, which is saying, wait, let's not just worry about topics and boxes. Let's instead think about, what did we learn in 90 minutes in engaging with these women? Seeing that whole, you see the flows, the WHOLE, that kind of what goes in between each statement, not just each of the women speaking, but the way that everything comes together just to portray this amazing dynamic relationship that's a crucial part of each individual. So for me, I've been thinking a lot lately about not just doing working with quotations and doing episode profiling, but just the way they just synchronize so neatly. And it's kind of cool to play with. The sort and sift process should always start with this general point of entry, where you're not only getting to know your data, but you're working hard to make sure that you can re-present it, re-present in a way that accurately captures what participants put forward initially without worry about interpretation. That's not easy to do, but straightforward processes of simply reading, focusing on strong core quotations, and initially thinking about the entire story of each data collection episode is a great pathway for starting that process. As we're getting to know our data, it can be overwhelming. It helps to have a place to manage and work with all of this information. That's what storyboarding in the sort and sift approach is all about. Think of it as a field or a playground where you can engage all kinds of analytic activities that encourage development of notions, ideas, and/or themes. Inside storyboards, we can discover, develop, and depict these initial thoughts and nurture them a bit. All of the sort and sift tools are used in storyboards. Folks sometimes ask questions like, do I memo a diagram first? Do I look at quotations, develop episode profiles, incorporate topics to monitor? The answer is yes. Seriously, it's not what to do when, and it's not about formulaically doing one activity at a time. Discovery and development are active and evolving. You're working hard to accurately capture the information your participants give to you in the data. Sometimes you write about it. Other times you lay out or diagram a couple of quotations on one PowerPoint slide and take a look at it. Other times maybe you'll capture it with topical categories. Idea storyboarding is a flexible space for ideas to grow and eventually to be able to refine them in a way where you can show them to audiences and present them in papers and articles. That's why storyboarding includes quotation engagement, episode profiling, memoing, diagramming, and topic monitoring.
Memoing is a really powerful analysis tool to do, during your analysis to just to help ideas combine, and sometimes just to get out of the box of just only kind of looking at your transcripts or whatever data you're working from, and to really start to test out combining ideas, combining quotations from different parts of your project, and in a narrative form. And it's also, it helps you kind of fold in different elements of your methodology. Maybe hopefully you learn something.
At an analysis camp, some of my team members were in attendance, and we're working on some data, diagramming out patients' decision making about where they get what types of care. Well, they said, well, let's try this diagramming thing. We created these diagrams. We left the camp with diagrams in hand. We continued making diagrams from this data, and we literally have been looking at them recently and using them to guide a paper that we're working on.
Topic monitoring, that's the way we think of categorization and coding. Real active formal work within topics, across topics, within documents, all sorts of ways to think dynamically with lots of movement and analysis.
I can connect to my data. I have tools and I can use them and apply them flexibly. I don't have to do things the same way in every project. And I can enjoy what I'm doing with my data